Hey y'all, welcome back to Harmon Homestead. I am out in my driveway today. It's cool, it's beautiful, it's warm, but this tropical breeze blowing in is just perfect. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. This video right here, you see in this old fence, I've got an egg and the Bible, and we're going to talk about that today. So for many of y'all that know and many of you don't know, 4 weeks ago, well, actually now 5 weeks ago, my step-grandfather passed away. He was like a grandfather to me, really the only one I had ever known. Everybody thought it was my grandmother. They know on here I talk about being prepared, and they know that I took care of my grandmother. I live right across the road from her. We're rural over there at least 4 times a week. During his passing, it was every day, multiple times a day. My mom and dad live in a different county. So they were there and they took care of her too, but I was there with my grandmother every day. Everybody thought it was her and it wasn't. And we got through that. She was elderly, she was 82. And last Tuesday, a week ago today, she passed away in her sleep. That has been so hard. She was sick. She was our miracle baby. As a kid, y'all, she was bit by a moccasin with no medical treatment. She was a wild child. She was always running up the roads, getting into stuff. She lived like everybody wanted to live, really. Almost just no responsibility. She lived for today. She had 5 cardiac bypasses in 2007. Came home from the hospital, did great after a heart attack and the bypasses. And that day, her heart stopped. She was without a pulse for 44 minutes. That is unheard of in the medical field. That is unheard of. And I don't know why they worked on her so long. I was in high school. That was in 2007. But my great aunt used to be OR supervisor and had just retired at the time. And that may have had something to do with it. I don't know, just because they all knew. And, you know, it was so bad and so sudden. And she was young at the time. She was in her early 60s. So got a pulse back. She was airlifted to Birmingham, Alabama after 3 months in the hospital. She was septic with an infection called C. diff. She recovered. Bible's opening up. And she did good after that. That was a miracle. Then a couple of years ago, she had some trouble with a dental infection. And that's really when things started going downhill. She had a bad tooth. Dentist worked on it. And probably when they shouldn't have worked on it. And she was put in the hospital and they thought everything was fine, but she ended up back in Birmingham, Alabama, and ended up with osteomyelitis of the jaw. She had part of her mandible taken out, and things just kind of went downhill after that. So she's had multiple health problems, but not anything like cancer. She was just older and had been through so much, and she just passed away. But it was what you would pray for in your sleep. Just peaceful. Everything was normal, fine. She was ready to get up the next morning and do. We had just talked to her the night before. She was on my Facebook commenting on my gardens, you know, and it was just such a shock, especially after my step-grandfather died. That close. It was 4 weeks and 1 day after his passing that she passed. So we have been shook to the core with all this, and it's been tough on us, but again, that's the best thing for her, you know. We just didn't really have any time to prepare, even though we did it throughout all the years. And you just never know. You just never know when something like that's going to happen. And I felt like I needed to tell y'all that because y'all have asked about her on here, and you knew that I had mentioned my grandmother so much. And she's been in the hospital 3 times since December. Y'all have heard me talk about that on videos. She's been sickly. So I thank you for all the prayers, and I thank you for all the support. We've really needed it this time, but it's been a week, and I'll always have a piece of my heart with her, always. But I know she's in heaven, and that's what I want to talk about today. Guys, ever since I started this channel years ago, it's evolved. I've done all different kinds of videos, completely different kinds of videos. I've done everything from prepping to homesteading to whatever, and I have always wanted to do religious videos. I tried kind of, but I mixed it in with politics. That didn't go too well. People didn't respond to it too well, and I can understand that. But religion itself is a hot topic that people don't necessarily, you know, want to talk about. So that's what this whole thing is, this whole series. And I feel prompted in my heart after her to talk to y'all about this and to discuss my Christianity. And why I'm doing this is I feel prompted, and I just feel like I've come to the point where I'm okay to stand in front of you and talk about it. And it's hard. It's personal. It's personal. And I thought, well, you know, I'm a woman. I don't know a woman preacher, you know, and I don't know about that. And I don't know, you know, everybody's got their different views. And I'm Baptist. That's just the closest church down the road. My family actually built that church. That was actually my family's land years ago, in 1894. When I say we've been on this property for forever, we have been on this property for forever since we come over. And it's a deep part of me, that church, and all my people's there. Or at least on one side. And I wanted to do these videos, but it strikes a sensitive place, and it strikes not a nerve, but it hits a raw spot because it's so personal. But when I listen to YouTubers, that's usually what I want to listen to. If I ever listen to anybody else, and I've listened to it this past week, other people just trying to get my mind off of what was going on and trying to keep going. You know, I just need some distraction. Because it was terrible. I mean, all our families out of town, and they had to come back in, and everybody was just like, what's going on? You know, it was terrible that close together. And I listen to people, and that's what I like to hear. And some of y'all may need to hear that or like to hear it. I needed to hear it. I wish I could hear my preacher every day. You know, I wish I could record him and hear. I need to hear it. And a lot of times people receive things different way. I can get something out of hearing that I can't reading, visual or tactile feeling. And that's what this is going to be about today. So let me make it very clear right off the get-go. Another reason I hesitated with these videos, when we got monetized, I said, personally, I keep looking in the background. I don't want a snake to creep up on me back there in those woods. I personally do not want to take money off of speaking about religion. It's popular on YouTube. A lot of homesteaders do this, and I know they make money off of it. You should not see any ads in these videos. If you do, I'm not pulling money off that. The monetization will be off. All I'm doing is spending my time trying to help y'all and help myself too. I can't stand in front of my maker and say that I took money off that. And people sell Bibles, people sell DVDs, study books. I get it. I just personally can't. I just can't. That's a personal choice. So I want you to know that these will not be monetized, these videos. And I'm going to call it Standing on the Promises. So this past week, again, it was terrible. And guys, let me throw this in here. This one's kind of jumbled up. This is going to be the first one. I am not a preacher. I am not a teacher. I am just a 32-year-old young woman trying to figure her way out in a society that is very, very bad. And we need community. We need to pull together. We need to stick together, because you don't know how important it is to have a shoulder to cry on until you're in a situation and you need one to cry on, or you need one to hold your hand, or you need one to say, hey, Jesus said, today you will be in paradise. Or Jesus said, he who believeth in me will have everlasting life. When someone's telling you that and reaffirming you, it helps more than you know. Guys, we got to stick together. And right now, religion is just so suppressed. And again, people don't want to talk about it because it strikes a nerve. It's raw. These are my personal beliefs. I'm not going to bash anybody. I'm not doing any of that. If you are a Christian, that's what these videos are for. If you're not a Christian, I wish you'd listen. But please don't anybody be ugly, because I wouldn't be ugly to you either. I respect your wishes. So this past week, when I was looking at these other YouTubers, and some are homesteaders and they talk about religion. They do. What I have noticed down through the years, and I've been listening to YouTube for years, the past 6 months, I really haven't listened to anybody at all because I've been too busy with my own stuff. People talk about prophecy over and over and over about the Bible. That seems like what everybody right now in this is wound up in is prophecy. And yes, it's a part of the Bible. And yes, it's because times are so bad and we're wondering. But I think throughout history, people have always wondered, is this the end? Look at World War II when, look at Hitler. You know, I would think that they would have more reason to think, you know, than us, or so many different times through history. Look at the Civil War when our country was split in two and everybody lost a family member that was fighting. Look at all the wars, World War I, Vietnam. People have had reason or the Black Plague. People have had reason all down through history to think it was the end. I think every day we're closer, I know that. But even Jesus said he doesn't know when the end is. So, I mean, he doesn't know the exact day or hour. And that's in the Bible. So, my thing is I got into this with prophecy. And the whole past year I've been reading Isaiah. I've read so much. I wanted to read Ezekiel. At our church, we studied Revelation for a year and a half, I believe. We studied Daniel for a year almost. We have studied this stuff about prophecy over and over and over. And yes, it's all so important. And yes, you can take out stuff from it. But the YouTubers that are talking about prophecy, people love prophecy, in my opinion, because they feel like they're being productive. They feel like they're researching it. And they want to tell you, hey, you need to find these clues. And yes, you do. But let me tell you, when something bad happens, like what happened to me this past month, when you have 2 deaths, we're a small family. I'm an only child. My mother's an only child. This was bad. And this is really all we had left in our immediate family. When you have something like that, you're not focused on prophecy right then. You're focused on, what does the Bible say about sorrow? What does the Lord say about grief? You know, I've been missing that the past year. We need to read it all, and we need to focus on it all. And you need that to have those tools. And I feel like I have shortchanged myself this past year just focusing on one thing. And I that's why it's all there. It's important. It's important. This past week, my husband, I was talking to him, and I was just hysterical. The first day I found her, and I was in shock. And it just so happened. She's got a huge pasture in front of her house, and my dad bush hogs once or twice a year, and on the tractor. And no one could get her on the phone, and so that's how I got involved. And she slept late anyways. Again, she lived for the day. You know, she was like not a party animal, but she was just a hoot. She would sleep till 2 o'clock every day. I mean, she just wanted her sleep, so we didn't think anything about it if we had not heard from her that morning. That was just her. We begged her to get up. We tried. She wasn't going to have it. She wanted her sleep, But my dad was bush hogging, and the first time this year, he had bush hogged my pasture for me several weeks before. And it just that fluke that day. You think it's a fluke. No, the Lord put him there that day for me when I needed him right there. And he was just getting ready to leave. I pulled up. He didn't even know it. He was way off down in the pasture, and he come pulling up right when I needed him, the emergency. And that was the Lord. That was the Lord. I don't know. I don't know what would have happened if he was not there. And it had just so happened. My husband was coming home from work. He was already en route. My mom had just gotten home. Usually my mom's shopping or, everywhere. And a lot of times my husband isn't home. So, or, at that certain time in the afternoon when it all was perfect, really, to be there for support. And I told my husband this week, I said, I was petrified. Like, she's gone. I know she's in heaven. I know I've been told that, but you have questions. And you wonder, especially, you can say it every day, but when it happens to you, you start wondering. And you start, it's faith shaking. It's shaking that faith up. Like, hey, are you going to believe this or are you not? And I couldn't sleep all week, and he went to the kitchen and he said, look, and he got this egg. And he said, what's in that egg? And with my step-grandfather's passing, it was around the cicada time down here, and everybody kept saying, it's like a cicada, it's just the shell here, spirits in heaven. And my husband said, look at this egg. And he said, what is it? I said, you're going to say it's a shell, And he said, no. He said, what's in that egg? I said, an egg? And he said, what does this turn into? I said, a chick. He said, what happens in your incubator? It turns into a chick in 21 days. And he said, can you see that chick in there? No. Right now. Can you see that there's a chick? It's just a yolk. No. Can you see that there's life in that egg? No. But guess what? It's there. And he said, heaven's the same way. He said, it's there. You just can't see it. But it's there. It doesn't mean it's not real if you can't see it. And I started thinking about faith. And I said, you know, faith is that of which is unseen. Because if you saw it, the Bible says that if you saw it, you wouldn't have much faith. You wouldn't have to have faith. There is no faith if you saw it. But if you believe that it's there, that's your faith. I've never heard anybody put it that way. And my husband just blew it out of the park on that one. And now I can't crack an egg open in the morning without thinking about that. You know, it's there. That to me, it just helped me so much. You know, we know it's there. It's just, it hurts that they're there and we're here. But hey, I'd rather be there than here. You know, it's with my Lord and Savior. And that's what we have to look at anytime that there's grief and passing. And so that egg meant more to me this week. And I've told you before on a homestead, that's why I've wanted to talk about these religious videos. Guys, there is so much, if you are a believer, when you work around life and things growing and peacefulness, you understand it. And I think that's why things have hit me so hard lately. It's because I have such peace here. And like I said, I don't even go to town anymore. I'm in peace constant from day in to day out. Daylight till dark. It's peace. And I come from a very high stress job. And it was just constant worry and fret. And I tried to juggle that all these years. And I come home and I'm completely removed from it. I'm at peace constantly. And then when something happens, it shakes you up. That's why I tell you on all these Are You Prepared videos, no matter how much you prepare, no matter what you do, you are going to be shaken to the core if anything happens. I told you that 5 weeks ago when my step-grandfather passed. Y'all didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know if my grandmother could see these videos or not. I got her the app, but she really didn't know how to work it. And I didn't want her to hear that and upset her. But it's going to tear you up. That's normal, but you've got to have faith. And yesterday I come out here to this drive. I walk all the time. And she was a nature lover. She loved nature. She loved the birds. Y'all can hear them in this video, I'm sure. She loved birds. She was obsessed with them. And she loved living in the pines. We do live in the pines down here. It's humongous pines everywhere. And just this cool breeze floated by me. And I said, that's the Lord, you know. I may not hear him directly saying, now, little gal, you better do this. I don't hear that. But I know when that breeze hits my face and I feel calm, I know he's here with me. I know he's all around me, and me and him walked a lot of steps yesterday up and down this drive and just getting peace and looking at his creation and all that he did. If you homestead, it's so important to know and you see, and you're so blessed to be in God's paradise. Every single piece of this is what he intended. The trees and the plants and the fruit and the vegetables and everything was just... That was God's first original creation. And you're so blessed to be in it and to be a tender of the animals, a caretaker, and you get peace. And I got peace that way. But the main thing I wanted to say in this video is it's real. There's no doubt. This is not a game. This is serious. God is near us. We may not can see him. We may not can hear him. We may not can even just accept a lot of things, but we have to know, as far as like, why did this happen to me? Why did that happen? We have to know that he's there. We have to open our eyes. We are blind in this society. People have always been blind, but we have to, especially if you believe, be a believer, act like a believer. He said, go forth and spread the gospel. I don't think he just meant by acting like an example. I think he wanted us to really walk in his steps and do what he wanted us to do. And how many people act like an example today? Not many. Not many. Guys, that brought that to my attention with this loss. I mean, both losses. People they will shock the socks off of you. And it's not some random stranger. It's people, you know, close to you. And you have to, as my book Open Windows said yesterday, you got to love while disappointed and be that example and have faith and know that God is working it all together for good. I'm telling you what I have went through this week, and I hope that I am helping someone right now. It's been on my heart to do these. Again, I'm not taking money off of it. The monetization's cut off. Hopefully, with this base that I have, this will help somebody. And I'm going to close it out by this. Again, I wish I had been reading all of it too, you know, instead of just prophecy. We need to do that, guys. And please, please, it's all important. It's all important. I'm going to turn to Psalm. This is one of my Bibles, Psalm 34. Turn right to 37. I'm going to say this too before I close. My grandmother just swore that when her great-grandfather passed, that the clock stopped, a manual clock. Right after my grandmother passed, we had some storms come through and the power went out of all days. You know, I talk about being prepared. The power was out for hours. It was hot. It was muggy. It was so humid. The power out. People were over at the house. We were in the dark. And the clocks kept blinking on the oven light. And in the bedroom, we got an electric clock. But I got a manual clock in the den, a regular battery-operated clock. And it was fine. I was resetting the oven to that I could see in the kitchen. It's in the den. I'd just look and say, like, okay, 2:30, and I'd hit it to 2:30. I just replaced the battery in it maybe 2 weeks ago. 2 days after she died, the power went out again. I was standing in the dining room trying to clean up for people to come over, and I saw flames shooting out of the transformer. And our power had already been out for hours, but flames started coming up when they tried to cut it back on. And got the power company out here, and I called. I said, hey, I don't want anybody to get electrocuted, but this is bad. Like, we almost had a bad fire. So they come out here, and it was a squirrel, bless it. So got the power back on. They got the squirrel off. They were tickled. They had finally found the power, because it had been hours where the problem was, the root of the problem. And they cut the power back on. I set the clock on the oven to the clock in the den, the manual one. And that afternoon, I was cleaning before the day of the funeral, because everybody was coming back to my house, the family. And I told my husband, I said, gosh, it seems late. I said, but it's only 4:27. I've been cleaning for hours, and it's only 4:27. And he said, I don't know. It does kind of feel later than that, even though it's summertime, you know, and it stays daylight forever. I looked on my oven. It said 4:27. I looked on the manual clock, 4:27. And I looked down at my phone, and it was like 5:11, 5:30. I said, what's going on? The manual clock had stopped. And I was setting the oven to that sometime that day. And with her always saying that, you know, it was just, Lord's letting you know he's there. Your loved ones let you know they're there. I may be crazy for saying that, guys, but I truly think they're letting you know they're there. Psalm 34. This is King James. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make her boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear thereof and be glad. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and delivered me from all my fears. They looked unto him, and were lightened. Their faces were not ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him, and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them. O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him. O fear the Lord, ye his saints, for there is no want to them that fear him. The young lions do lack and suffer hunger, but they that seek the Lord shall not want any good thing. Come, ye children, hearken unto me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. What man is he that desireth life, and loveth many days, that he may see good? Keep thy tongue from evil, and thy lips from speaking guile. Depart from evil, and do good. Seek peace, and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are upon the righteous, and his ears are open unto their cry. The face of the Lord is against them that do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. The righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and delivereth them out of all of their troubles. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of all of them. He keepeth all of his bones, not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked, and they that hate the righteous shall be desolate. The Lord redeemeth the soul of his servants, and none of them that trust in him shall be desolate. Guys, that right there helped me more than anything this week, hearing that and knowing we're good. Faith, guys, it'll get shaken. Know it's there. We're going to keep doing these videos. I really, truly believe I want to help others. Again, I won't be profiting off of you. I may do these twice a week and just sit down and talk with you. I'm not telling you how to be. I'm not telling you anything. I'm just telling you how I feel and how the Lord's helped me. We're going to keep on with our gardening videos and keep doing everything just like we were. I'm just going to add more videos, a lot more filming. I think we all need each other right now. We'll see you guys next time on Harmon Homestead.